What's going on YouTube? It's your buddy, everybody's buddy, Car Craftsman, back with another video. Today I'm pretty excited because this is a video where you could really learn something and put this to use yourself. And I'm also excited because I'm actually trying to put together a kit that you can buy on Etsy or maybe even eBay that is going to have all this sandpaper and all the things that you're going to see in this video, so you could do this yourself. Now, identifying scratches is one of the most important parts of figuring out what can be buffed and what can't be buffed. So I'm going to take you through that, and then I'm just going to take you through the whole wet sanding process all the way up into a final buff. So if that's something you want to see, definitely stick around to the end of this video. Like the video if you learned something, and always subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Now today I got this Cadillac in, and you can see it's obviously got a whole bunch of damage down the side here, and I figured this was a good car for me to present this to you because not that I'm going to mess it up, but if I do mess it up, nothing's going to happen because I got to do all this body work anyway. So we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to show you these scratches and hopefully be able to set you on the right path. Sorry for the background noise. I got cars going in and out, whatever. But yeah, like I said, there's damage all over this Cadillac. The guy hit a guardrail, and yeah, just is what it is. So okay, on to identifying scratches and stuff like that. What's going to be able to be buffed out of this? Now, there's obvious dents in the door and everything like that, but the majority of these scratches are pretty bad, but I'm pretty confident I could get a lot of that out. Moving in closer here, you're going to see the obvious spots. Now, that's all the way down the metal. There's no way you're going to buff that out. There's no way it's going to look any better without some paint touch up and what have you. Now, one of the easiest ways to identify a scratch that you can buff out is just to take your thumbnail and just run it over top of the scratches. And if your thumb gets hung up, if your thumbnail gets hung up in the ridge of that scratch, it's probably too deep to kind of mess with, and you'll want to take that to a professional. But some of this is just really surface scratched here, and I am 100% confident a lot of this is going to come out. Again, another spot that's close to being real bad, but yeah, the paint chipped off the edges there. That's not going to get any better, but I bet you all this is going to come out. So let's just start. Let's do it. Alright, just a really quick word about sandpaper. Mostly the sandpaper grits that you're going to use in a project like this are 1000 and up. Now, the higher the number the sandpaper gets, the smoother it gets. The smoother it's going to get the paint, and you want to do this in steps in order to take out scratches from 1000 all the way up till 3000, and then you could buff the 3000 out really easy. So on the heaviest parts, I'm actually going to get pretty brave and use 1000 on it, and just for some of the surface stuff, I'm actually probably just going to use 2000. I'm also going to use a technique called wet sanding, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You get the surface wet and then you sand on it, creates a little bit of lubrication and makes a real smooth surface. So that's what we're going to start with. I got some 1000 on my block here. These blocks are something that you would get in the kit that I'm going to provide, and as long as you follow the same steps that I'm doing here, you should be okay. Now, this is something for a trained professional to do, but if you got a little bit of sense to you, if you've been around the body shop industry and you know a little bit, I'm pretty confident you could do it. Now, it's not for the faint of heart, and you do have to have a little finesse to you to make sure that you do this without really damaging something. So just watch me. I'll help you out. 1000. Here we go. use these short blocks is it's a lot easier to control a small area that you're trying to sand in. Having a big old block and doing this whole thing isn't what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to eliminate the scratches that are on here, just get it to a point of improving the paint, smoothing it out, and getting it ready for buff. Of water on there, because then you're just hydroplaning. Your block is just going to be skipping over the surface. So what you really want to do is create some of this white slurry that you're seeing here now. The white is actually some of the clear coat and some of the damage that you're sanding off. And as long as you keep even pressure across this whole block, it's going to sand out evenly. Alright, and that's about how your strokes are supposed to look on there. Nice little tight strokes. And you only want to go over it once or twice, especially with 1,000, to get out the worst of this damage. Let's see where we're at here. Now, if you could remember what it looked like, it was a lot like this. This guy hit a guardrail, actually, bounced off of it, and got it again right there. Put a new fender on the front, and yeah, going to do some body work here to make that look good. But look how that turned into that. Now that's just 1,000 grit sandpaper, and like I said, you don't want to go crazy with 1,000. It's pretty aggressive when it comes to this technique, and you're just sanding to improve the surface. Not really, you don't want to remove a lot of paint. You want to remove the defect from the top of the paint. Now obviously there's a good spot there. My thumb ain't getting hung up on it, so I think I could actually buff that out some. Now you could still see some scratch in there, and that's fine. I don't want to go crazy with the 1,000. I've got 2-3 more grits to go till I finally smooth all this out. So I'm going to step it up from 1,500 from here and just continue to take out these scratches. Now when you're stepping up in a grit, you're not really trying to remove more clear coat from your panel. What you're trying to do is take out the 1,000 scratches and make it 1,500 scratches, and then you're going to make it 2,000 scratches, and then ultimately 3,000 to a buff. This is looking really good. I'm going to get my 1,500 and do the same thing. Now when you're doing this, you really do need your senses, pretty much all your senses. Feel, eyesight, and certainly you need to be able to listen. When you prep this surface for when you're getting ready to sand, you want to make sure it's clean, it doesn't have any rocks or dirt on it, because if you do start sanding and you get a rock or a piece of dirt under it, that is going to scratch it out, and it's not going to be uniform with the grit that you're using. You're going to have to start all over again because you're going to put a mean, nasty scratch in there. Now, with your eyes, you're going to be just paying attention, looking to make sure that you're removing all the previous scratches. With your ears, you're listening for a high-pitched weep, because if you hear that weep, then you've got something underneath of your sandpaper that you need to eliminate immediately before you start sanding again. Again, we want to create that white slurry. You don't have to overhydrate the surface. You want to go just a little bit bigger than the scratches that you had put in there with the previous grit. That way you're making sure you get them all. After going over it a couple times, I'm pretty sure I got just about everything. And I know these scratches right here weren't too bad, so I'm just going to hit this with 1500. There's another scratch down here I'll be able to use as an example, and I'm just going to take care of this here. Concentrate on small areas. If you're going like this, you're really not doing it. Like I said, get a good slurry going on underneath your sandpaper. You want to be seeing some of that clear coat getting chewed up underneath there. Just smooth it out. All right, that is looking pretty daggone good. Remember, this is kind of like what we started with here. These scratches are pretty nasty. I'm sure all these could be buffed out. When we get to here, obviously this is pretty big damage, and then we sanded that damage out. A little bit underneath kind of looked like that there, just some surface little smudges, and we sanded that out really easy with the 1500. Now this is 1500, we got 2000 and 3000 to go. If you're an experienced body man, you'd be able to sand out this 1500, but even if you're an experienced body man, you know it's better to go up to the 3000, and as soon as you put the buffer on there, it's pretty much going to be shiny. So same process as usual. Take this 2000, take out all these scratches that are on there now from the sandpaper, and then move up to my next grit. And you'll be able to tell fairly easily if you have the previous scratches all the way sanded out. It's just going to give you a little bit of a different look. Each sandpaper is going to smooth this paint out and make it look even softer than the previous grit, and it's a little bit obvious to see what you sanded out and have it sanded out. On the 2000, let's do it. Okay, real quick, the way I'm making this kit, I like it anyway. So just a regular sander I got here, and this is just 2000 on there, and it's just on a foam block, and it's really easy to use, and then you just throw it out after that. You're done. The sandpaper's done. But I've also gone through a little bit more lengths here of putting some foam on the top of there that actually gives you a little bit of a cushion there. And when you get into the higher grits, you kind of want that cushion, and that's going to make things softer. As weird as that sounds, the softer the block, the softer it's going to make your work look, and you kind of want it soft looking. I know that's weird sounding, but yeah. So yeah, like you could see, that block forms a whole lot better to the contours and everything, and it's going to be easier to use getting those sand scratches out, where just something like this is quite a bit more aggressive, and you would use something like that to sand out something that's not soft. I mean, basically that's what you're doing. But yeah, this is 1500 that we're working with. Got my 2000 here. I'm going to use the hard block on the hardest areas that we knew there were scratches, and then I'm going to take the softer block and go over everything. It's a good looking slurry there. That's what you might look like. Like I said, you want to expand your work area just a little bit to make sure that you've got all the previous scratches. If you're just working that small area and you think you're just going to work out those scratches, you're wrong. it aggressively with the hard black. That was done for. Just clear surface. Wipe her down and then go over it with the 2000 with the soft black, making it look softer. And as soon as you put the softer black on the surface, you're going to be able to tell what I'm talking about. It's just a vibe. It's a feeling. Expanding my work area, making sure I'm getting previous scratches. It's looking like I probably did get all those scratches from before. I'm going to step it right up until 3000. I'm going to put you on the tripod again, get to work. And the same thing with the 2000, you're going to have an option with the 3000 just to have a hard block or a little bit of foam cushion on there. For this job, I'm only going to use the foam cushion one because that's what it is. Alright, I'm running out of daylight here. Hopefully I can get this done while there's some good light out there. That's looking really good. Looks like I got the majority of the scratch out, and then it looks like I got the majority of the scratches that I put in it out. Now there's just a quick test of what this does to your paint surface. Now this is 1000. It's pretty aggressive on your clear coat. That's for smoothing out really bad imperfections, nibbing out dirt and stuff like that. You want to be gentle, you want to be careful and cautious. You don't really want to run up against any of your edges when you're using 1000, and you just want to stay away from a lot of stuff and get the bulk of what you got to sand out. 1500 obviously just removes some of those scratches, and you really can't tell any difference, right? You really can't tell any difference until you get to the end. There's 2000 and then there's 3000. Now that 3000, I know my camera ain't all that, but that looks so soft, and that looks like I could almost buff it out by hand just by running a microfiber over it, and you almost can. But that's what you want to achieve with that whole surface that you're working with there. Again, coming back, looking at our damage, some of our lighter damage into our sanded, and it's really looking good. I'm going to get some buffing pads and my buffer out here. We're going to have some fun. So when it comes to buffing and buffing pads, you have got your choice of whatever you want. And it's almost just like the sandpaper. You got to kind of know which one to use and when. Now that I've smoothed it out to the point where all I'm going to really have to do is put a buffer on it, I'm going to look for a hard pad, and we're going to go with the high cut there. This is just some off-the-shelf Automagic stuff that I get from my local store here. This one's a little bit finer, so it's just like moving up in the grits of sandpaper, and then that's the finesse. And Americana, if you don't know, well, they're some of the best out there. It's a diminishing compound. This guy's local to me, and they really do make some of the best compounds out there. Really enjoy using it. So there's a medium pad. This one, it's not as hard as that one, and so on and so forth. I don't like that one, so I'm going to use that one. That's a harder one, softer. And then ultimately we're going to go with a polish, and I think I'll just use the green one for a polish. Now, obviously they're different sizes, so if you have to get different spots of a car and you don't want to run up against different areas, of course you're not going to be able to buff with that pad in that area, so you might switch it up to a smaller buffer and do something like that. Or you can get real crazy and do what you want, man. I mean, the sky's the limit. When these guys go to really polish out a car for like ceramic coat and stuff like that, they go nuts with all this stuff, and it's unbelievable, some of the talent that these guys have. But there it is. There's our big three that we're going to start out with: cut, a little bit of polish, and full polish. Let's get it. When applying the polish for the first time, I want to get this pretty much decently caked with the compound. There should be enough there. I'll take that, smooth it over the surface before I even start. That way you're not slinging it everywhere. Man, this thing's going to come up pretty daggone smooth on the first hit. Just watch this. I'm setting this DeWalt around 1500 RPM. I'd like to go a little bit nuts and get hot and heavy with it. For your first time, you're going to want to set it to a real slow setting. Get real comfortable with what you're doing. And then once you're comfortable, go ahead and kick it up a notch. First stage of the compound, and you could see a lot of that came out already. What we started with, where we're at, looking sexy. And then some of these little scratches down here, now I just ran over top of that with the buffer, and look how it smoothed out that. Now I didn't do any sand in here, I just ran the buffer over it. So that's about the results going from that to that, just running a buffer over top of it. If I were to sand that out, it would come out. Now obviously there's dents in there, but yeah. And what I'm going to do for you now is show you how the compound takes out the different scratches. I'm just going to go over this area with the buffer and show you how that looks after it gets buffed. I actually buffed that damn near all the way out. I didn't think it was going to happen. There was 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, and 3,000 somewhere along the way, but that compound's pretty decent. Got a lot of that out. All right, I'm fighting the clock. We're just going to go straight into the polishing, and it's the same thing as what I just did. Buff, buff, push, path, path. Medium cut, medium pad, maximum level. Camera shots, but look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. Like I said, down there, that's just the buff. Now you can still see some scratches. It would definitely benefit from some sanding, but just running a buffer over it from that to that looks pretty damn good, right? That is looking really good. One more for the polish, for the win. All right, now I broke out my Bauer DA sander polisher just because I wanted to. Now this is just a rotary polisher. It just spins one way, very aggressive. This is a dual action polisher. It sends that pad in all kinds of different directions. And what this is going to do primarily is take out the circle scratches that you put in with your rotary buffer. Like I said, that was just a buff right there. You could see some scratches, obviously that spot, but going from that to just a buff to get that result right there, that's pretty good. Let's go over here. There's still some scuff, and I could probably buff that out a little bit better around that dent there, but I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, going from that to that, I'd say we got it. I'd say we got it pretty good. I'd say we got it pretty good. All right, guys, I really appreciate you sticking by. Like I said, that's the pad and polish compound, the combination there. And yeah, I'm just going to give you the link to my Etsy, and then a link, I guess, to my eBay store where you'd be able to pick up these sanding blocks. Probably going to put together a little kit. I'm not sure if I'm going to go all kinds of crazy, but I might actually make different layers, levels to the kit, where if you just want the sanding blocks, you could just get that. Or if you need the whole setup, probably leave you links to get everything that you need. But this came out really well. I'm happy with the way it turned out. Wish I didn't have to do the body work and it would have just came out clean. But yep, body work's next. I do have another video on the horizon here. Commenter here, Jojo, in one of my videos had sent me a new paintless dent repair kit. It's got everything in it. I'm super stoked to make a video for him and to put that out there for you. And yeah, I'm just happy to give you guys this information, and I hope that you could take something away from this, and that's the value that you get for subscribing to me. Really appreciate you guys. Support a single dad. Buy my Etsy crap. Keep me rolling here. Thanks a lot for watching. Car Craftsman out.